Move on.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is 6:42, and the Louisville Planning and Zoning Commission meeting of August 16th, 2016 is called to order, and we do have a quorum present. First item of business is approval of the minutes of the August 2nd, 2016 meeting. Are there any additions or corrections? If not, may I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented in your packet?
So move.
Moved by Alvin,
Second.
seconded by Mary Ann. Those in favor signify aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Agenda item 3 is consent agendas. I will read A and B together. However, we're going to vote on the two separately. Item 3A is the final plat of Castle Hills, Realm West Edition, Phase 1, containing 72 residential lots and 6 HOA lots on 11.95 acres. It's designated the State Townhouse, ETH. It's located on the southeast corner of State Highway 121, Sam Rayburn Tollway, and Essex Boulevard. Item 3B is preliminary plat of Manors of Forest Brook Edition, containing 111 residential lots and 6 HOA lots on 10.056 acres. It's zoned planned development TH2, Townhouse 2, located on the northeast corner of State Highway 121 Business and Forest Brook Drive. Richard?
Thank you, Chairman Davis. Both of these plats were reviewed by city staff, who has determined that all minimum requirements of the zoning ordinance and the land development standards have been met. Staff would request that item 3A, the final plat for Castle Hills Realm West Edition Phase 1, be voted on separately. There is a required off-site easement that will need to be filed with Denton County. So therefore, we recommend that that would be voted on separately with the condition that the required off-site easements be filed at Denton County, like I said, with, contingent upon approval.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, this time, any questions, commissioners? For staff? No. Okay. May I have a motion pertaining to item 3A, the final plat of Castle Hills Realm West Edition?
Motion to approve with the required easements.
Okay, William made a motion to approve,
Second.
seconded by John. Those in favor signify aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Item B is preliminary plat for Manors of Forest Brook Edition. May I have a motion on item 3B?
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Mary Ellen,
Second.
seconded by Alvin. Those in favor signify aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion unanimously. Item 4 is public hearings. There are 3 separate public hearings. The first one is 4A. It's consideration of a zone change request from Office District, OD, to Old Town Mixed Use 2 District, OTMU2. This is on a 0.209 acres. It's situated in the J.W. Crafts Survey, abstract number 295. It's located at 449 West Main Street. It's requested by Teresa Arneson, the property owner. This is case number PZ 2016-0820. Richard?
Thank you, Chairman Davis. The request before you tonight is to change the current office zoning to the Old Town Mixed Use District. This site has been used for many years as with office uses, and the applicant wishes to kind of broaden the list of permitted uses for this site. Changing the zoning would add retail and service uses as well as residential uses. The request is in compliance with the Old Town Master Plan. Therefore, staff recommends approval as submitted. Thank you.
Commissioners, questions?
No.
All right. Thank you, Richard. This time we'll open up the public hearing. Anyone that wishes to speak on 4A, please come forward, sign in, stop at the desk, and sign in with your name and your address, and then come forward.
Mr. Chairman, the owner is here tonight if you have any questions for her.
Commissioners, any questions?
No.
No? Okay, I guess not. So at this time, no one coming forward. The public hearing is now closed. Commissioners, internal discussion, comments? If not, may I have a motion for item 4A?
Vote to approve as written.
Motion approved by John,
Second.
seconded by Mary Ellen. Those in favor signify aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, this item will be considered at a second public hearing at the City Council meeting on Monday, September the 12th, 2016 at 7:00 p.m. for final action. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, item 4B is a public hearing, consideration of a zone change request from Agriculture Open Space, AO, to Planned Development, Estate Townhouse, which is PD, ETH, on 86.6 acres, situated in the S.M. Hayden Survey, abstract number 537, and the H. Young Survey, abstract number 1448. This is located on the south side of Midway Road, approximately 800 feet west of Farm to Market 544, as requested by J. Volk of J. Volk Consulting Incorporated on behalf of Ray and Bill Myers, the property owners. This is case number PZ 2016-0821. Richard?
Thank you, Chairman Davis. The request before you tonight is for a proposed residential subdivision with a base district of estate townhome. The applicant's proposing 318 single-family detached lots with front entry garages. 121 of these lots would be 5,500 square feet in area with a minimum home size of 2,000 square feet. The remaining 197 lots would be a minimum of 4,000 square feet with homes a minimum of 1,750 square feet. As you can see on the concept plan, about 30% of the property is designated as open space. This open space is situated inside of a floodplain area that exists on this property. Portions of that floodplain is proposed to be reclaimed, I believe, kind of in the central portion of the site. The smaller lots, the 4,000 square foot lots, are illustrated in the brown, and the yellow are the larger lots, the 121 lots at 5,500 square foot. An amenity center is proposed right here in this area. That would include a pool, a pavilion, and a playground area. Also associated with this proposal, the applicant is requesting 3 variances. The first is to waive the alley requirement and allow front entry. Variance B would be to waive the thoroughfare wall requirements along Holford's Prairie Road. As you can see, that frontage along Holford's Prairie Road has a very deep open space. And then C is to waive the masonry screening wall requirements along the drive-in perimeter and a portion of the multifamily property. And that is the northwest corner of the site is adjacent to the proposed Coyote Theater. And then to the south, which is outside of city limits, there is an existing multifamily development. Staff recommends denial of this proposal on the basis of several factors. The first and foremost is the fact that the proposal is not in compliance with the Louisville Comprehensive Plan, the Louisville 2025. That plan designates this area for an employment center. Another factor is the location of the Coyote Theater, and staff has prepared a slide that shows the site, which is outlined in red, and the proximity of some very high intense uses that are either existing or proposed. As I mentioned earlier, the Coyote Theater was just approved last year. It's currently under construction, and that use would have a very negative impact on that neighborhood in terms of dust, traffic, noise, and lighting. One of the reasons Coyote chose the site that they're developing on is the fact that it was very far away from any existing residential. A major impact just to the west is the Louisville or the Dallas Auto Auction. It's a very, very large site. It has daily truck deliveries of vehicles. That site hosts several auctions, so it does bring a lot of customers coming and going all days of the week. So therefore, there is a lot of truck traffic in that area. And that is just one of many, as you can see, industrial uses that is in that area that has a lot of truck traffic. And of course, truck traffic does not mix well with residential traffic. The main entryway into the subdivision is just across the street from two existing junkyards that are on Midway Road. So the aesthetics in the area is not the best. The next slide shows a little bit larger. Oh, before I go to that next slide, I also wanted to mention on the kind of the northeast corner and the eastern boundary is Castle Hills. That is in Louisville ETJ. That site is master planned, and as you can see on this on the map, that entire site is designated and master planned for a very large office campus with office buildings ranging in height from 2 to 7 stories. All of those buildings will be served with parking garages. And as you can see, kind of front and center on the eastern boundary is a multi-level parking garage that will greatly impact the eastern part of this subdivision. Privacy will be compromised due to the height of the office buildings and the parking structures. That has been planned for quite a long time. The next map shows a little bit larger view, and probably one of the greatest impacts. And again, the site is kind of shown in orange here, outlined in red. All the blue areas are the existing industrial areas that still has quite a bit of available land to develop. So we feel that area will continue to grow with industrial uses as well as the traffic. I also want to mention too that the city's in the process of expanding Midway Road because of all of the industrial traffic that is in that area. The areas shown in red are 2 major landfills that serve North Texas. You have the Camelot landfill located right in this area. That is less than a mile to the southwest of the proposed site. As many of you may know, prevailing winds come from the southwest during the summer, so there will definitely be a very negative impact with odors and dust coming from that landfill. Right adjacent to it, a little over a mile, is waste management. So these are 2 very significant, very large landfills that are undergoing expansion. They will not be closed for their life expectancy is expected to be about 50 years. So that is a very long-term use that will not be going away anytime soon. I also want to mention too, you can see in this photo that there are some residential areas just to the east of both of these landfills. Those neighborhoods are within the city of Carrollton, and the city of Louisville continually receives complaints at various times, depending on the direction of the wind, of odors and other negative impacts that those landfills create in that immediate area. So we feel it would be very unwise to place additional homes in this area where there's so many negative impacts. Even if this development was proposed on a suitable site for residential uses, the proposal still is deficient in several areas and lacks details that would ensure a high-quality development. At a minimum, the following items should be considered. All homes should be a minimum of 2,000 square feet. All lots should be a minimum of 5,000 square feet. The amenity center should be constructed within the first phase of the development. Elevation should be repeated over 6 adjacent should not be repeated over 6 adjacent lots. Minimum architectural features should be required on each home. All garage doors should contain decorative wood cladding. All decorative metal fencing adjacent to open space lots should contain live evergreen shrubs. An 8-foot masonry screening wall should be required adjacent to Castle Hills on the eastern property line. An average of 1 tree, a minimum of 3 inches in caliper, should be planted per 30 linear feet along Holford's Prairie Road frontage. Finally, all trails in the proposed open space should be concrete 8 feet in width. In summary, the proposed zoning change and plan development is not the highest and best use for this property and does not comply with the Louisville 2025 plan. Therefore, staff recommends denial of the request. The applicant is present tonight and will be making a presentation. Staff is available if you have any additional questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we are ready.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Thank you so much for taking the time this evening. We look forward to presenting this presentation to you. We are excited about the potential project that we're looking at, known as Myers Ridge. With your permission, I brought a couple of books that I could pass out, if that's all right. Thank you.
Could you give your name and address for the rest of the
Certainly. My name is Chip Boyd. I'm Vice President of Development for Cal Atlantic Homes. And one of the reasons for the books that we just passed out, I wanted to take a couple of minutes with the first few slides just to tell you who we are. In a lot of zoning cases, particularly when it's developers only that are presenting, you're not necessarily aware of who the end user is going to be. We are proposing to be the developer and the builder, and so just wanted to let you know a little bit about us. You may not have heard of Cal Atlantic, but more than likely you've heard of one of the two companies that made up this new company, which merger of equals closed in October of 2015. We are from 100 years of building experience combined, Standard Pacific and Ryland Homes. We're in 41 MSAs and in 17 states. We build coast to coast. And we've been in the Dallas market for over 20 years. We are known as a move-up builder, first, second, and third move-up. We have a tremendous array of product from townhome up through luxury. Some of our communities are averaging in the millions and down to the high 200s, which we'll get into in a little bit. But garnering that experience has allowed us to get recognition for the quality of our product. Obviously, being a move-up buyer, we're known for the quality, and that's what's garnered the success that we've shared. Look here. In 2016, we were recognized by Builder Magazine as the Builder of the Year nationally. We're the top 4 home builder in the country with revenues of $5 billion. And this that you see in front of you there is a picture of our local model complex in McKinney, Texas, in a community called Stone Hollow. I want to draw your attention, if I could, to the two pictures in the bottom. That's our 40-foot product that we build in Stone Hollow, which is what we would build on 50-foot lots here in the market. In addition to the national recognition that we've received, we've also gotten local recognition for the quality of our product, for our architecture, and for our customer satisfaction. Most recently in the 2015 MCSAM Awards, we were recognized and were awarded 3 awards, one for Best Community Entry Feature, one for Best Architectural Design, priced between $375 and $400. And one that we're most proud of and is probably most relevant to this discussion, and that's Community of the Year. and that's for West Haven and Capel. The reason that's so important to bring up is that as a developer builder, we often are looking at properties that we need to rezone or look to be single family that may not have been considered that previously. And West Haven, being Community of the Year for 2015, was just such a case. This was commercial highway property that was rezoned. It became single family. It's been tremendously successful, and in spite of all of the perimeter conditions that people would traditionally think don't make sense for single family, it has become one of the feathers in our cap and one that we're most proud of. So I just wanted you to consider that as we get into a little more detail of the site itself. As far as what we do here locally, we wanted to put this together because we thought it was a good outline and opportunity for showing you our price points and where we build in different communities. Again, being a move-up builder, we pride ourselves on the quality of craftsmanship, workmanship, and customer service that you have to have in the move-up product lines and serving that demographic. So we wanted to put this table together. It shows 18 of our active selling communities. We're in these communities selling today. And the very bottom line, if you look, it says DFW median home price is $340,000. That's according to RSI in their Q2 of 2016 market update. And there are only one or two that fall below that within our average selling active communities today. And if you notice, our overall average is $596,000. That's blended between all of the 18 active communities. So our goal is to come in, even in infill situations and even in situations where it may not traditionally be thought of as single family, and not just create a place where we can go build houses, but to create a community. And being in the land development world, being able to take a community such as the Myers Ridge property and have 30% open space and do all the things that we can do internally with an amenity center that we would put in day one with the first phase, those kinds of qualities have to bring with it the architectural requirements as well. So I understand that not all of those details are outlined in this presentation, but it's certainly something based on the product that we build and based on our ability to work with staff, we would be able to bring to the city of Louisville. So with that being said, if you notice Myers Ridge 40-foot and Myers Ridge 50-foot projected, both of those average sales prices would be over the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex average. And so we're very excited about this. This is something that we do. It's something that we've done in the past with great success. And we feel like it would be a tremendous honor to come in here and provide the city of Louisville with some single-family opportunity that might not otherwise exist. And with that, I'll turn it over to our consultant, Jay Volk, to discuss the details of the project.
Thank you, Mr. Boyd.
Good evening. Jay Volk, 830 Central Parkway East, Suite 300 in Plano. I want to take a few minutes just to talk about some of the details of our proposal. This is a graphic shows the property's location in the submarket area. And as you can see, this is an area that is predominantly residential uses, both multifamily and single family, but primarily single family. The non-residential uses in this area are generally confined to properties that are immediately adjacent to either 121 or the Sam Rayburn Tollway. And so we believe this is a submarket where there's a high demand for single-family uses. That demand continues to be strong, and as availability of residential land is diminished, both the value of land and the value of homes has risen in part as a result of that supply shortage. So we think this is a submarket that is well positioned for additional single family. We view the property as being kind of a transitional area between residential and non-residential uses, and we think it's more well suited for residential for a couple of reasons. One, there's a natural green belt along the western boundary of the property that provides a substantial buffer that basically eliminates visibility from the adjacent uses. And I've got another graphic I'll show you in a few minutes. Additionally, as Mr. Lukey mentioned, the property is encumbered by a significant amount of floodplain. For a commercial user or a light industrial user, that's a big negative. But for the single-family user, it's a positive because we have the opportunity to turn that into a significant amenity, and that's exactly what we've done. As part of their due diligence, Cal Atlantic commissioned a best use study, which was prepared by the Cameron Appraisal Group, and I've summarized some of the findings of that study on this slide. As I mentioned, demand for new single-family housing in this submarket is very, very high. The short supply of residential land has led to unit price trends that meet or exceed that of commercial and light industrial use. The property is situated along a secondary thoroughfare, and so traffic exposure along Midway would be below levels commonly associated with commercial uses. And the majority of, as I said, light industrial tracts are situated along the tollway in I-35 and 121. And so the finding of the Cameron study was that the property exhibits location, access, and visibility most commensurate with a single-family subdivision use. To further emphasize that point, we've included a letter written by Mr. Dan Spica. He's the listing broker for the property. Mr. Spica is also the head of the industrial division here locally for Henry S. Miller Homes, with a long history in the industrial brokerage market. Over the past year, Mr. Spica has shown this property to at least 10 different potential industrial users who are listed there, and all of them declined to make an offer on the property. And during that period of time, there was strong interest from a number of potential single-family developers and users. And for the reasons that I mentioned, the floodplain and the topography of the property, the potential industrial users felt it was not a suitable location for that type of use. This is our master plan, and as Mr. Lukey mentioned, Cal Atlantic is proposing 2 different lot sizes, and the lots are modestly sized, and that's intentional. For many years, the thinking in single-family development was bigger is always better. People wanted big lots, big yards. But more recently, as an emphasis towards sustainability has increased, people are recognizing that you can provide luxurious, large homes on smaller lots with more modestly sized yards. People don't want to maintain big yards. Water has become, as you know, a precious commodity in our area. So people would rather have luxurious homes on smaller lots and then have access to community amenities and recreation areas such as we've provided. So having the lot sizes we do does not mean that you're going to have small homes, and it certainly doesn't mean that you will have lower price point homes. The land value, as I mentioned, in this area is not one where an entry-level price point home does not make sense on this property. It has to be a higher price point, higher value home to make the economics work. We're expecting average home sizes on the 40-foot lots of about 2,200 square feet, and average home sizes on the 50-foot lots of 2,800 square feet, with some homes being offered north of 3,000 square feet. Now, we did include in our proposal a lower threshold square footage of 1,750, and that's because we believe in providing a variety of floor plans and home products, and that enhances the value rather than diminishes the value to provide people a range of choices. But overall, the average will be between 2,000 and 3,000 square feet. We have 30% open space primarily within the floodplain area, and within that area, we're proposing to provide hike and bike trails. We are willing, for the record, to make those 8-foot trails that hadn't been discussed with staff at this point, but that's certainly something we can do. And the trails within the open space areas on this graphic are almost 1.9 miles worth of trails. And just to be clear, I'm not talking about the sidewalks within the internal streets. Those are just within the open space areas. We have nearly 2 miles of recreational trails for the residents. And then also the centerpiece of the project is the amenity center, which will be built with the first phase. We think it's important to provide that amenity for the residents, and in some cases, developers want to push that off till a second or third phase, but we think it's important to provide that to our residents day one. This is a look of a photograph taken last week on the property there at the location where that arrow is on the graphic, looking to the west. Because of the floodplain and the natural greenbelt that exists, there's a substantial buffer between us and the Coyote Theater. And just to give you a sense of scale, the width of that greenbelt buffer on the north end is about 140 feet. And then as you move further south, down closer to the Mini Center, it's about 500 feet away. And that, because it's within a floodplain, that's not an area where they intend to disturb or construct any improvements. You can see in the aerial, the disturbed earth where their grading activities have gone on. As you can see, they have left that tree line untouched. And so that buffer really provides a visual barrier better than any screening wall or any other thing we could contemplate, and basically eliminates any visual concern with respect to the movie theater. Cal Atlantic prides itself on providing the highest quality entries into their communities. They want potential buyers and residents and their guests, before they've even entered the community, to know that a Cal Atlantic community is something exceptional. And so we've provided a substantial buffer and open space area along Midway Road. Typically, you would expect to see a buffer along a thoroughfare of 25 or 30 feet in width for a landscape buffer. At its narrowest point there, our buffer is about 40 feet wide and gets as much as 150 feet wide there as you move further to the west. And so that will provide a significant separation between Midway Road and the uses north of Midway Road to our nearest homes. And if you've had an opportunity to look through the marketing book that Mr. Boyd handed out, you can see the nature and quality of the type of entries that Cal Atlantic includes in their communities. There we go. As I said, the amenity center will be the centerpiece of the project. It is intended to be a central gathering point, something where residents can gather together and get to know each other and develop social relationships and all of those things. And as I said, for that reason, it will be included in the first phase of the project. If you've not had the opportunity to visit amenity centers that Cal Atlantic has built in some of the neighboring cities, I would encourage you to do so, so you can really understand the quality and extravagance that they go to provide exceptional amenities for their residents. And in closing, I just want to sort of reiterate something that Mr. Boyd said, and that is, we understand that in your position, you always have the concern of how do we control quality within any development proposal. And you also understand that it's difficult to legislate quality, and we will certainly work with you and your staff to include whatever provisions are appropriate to ensure the quality of this project. But ultimately, in many cases, you don't know who the home builder is. In this case, you do. And the Cal Atlantic name is the greatest assurance of quality that you can have, that this will be a quality, value-added community that Louisville would be very proud to have in their city. So with that, we'll answer any questions you have. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Volk?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I do have some
Oh,
questions.
wait a minute.
Excuse me.
She does have.
Given this presentation you heard by the city, how are you going to sell this property, luxury homes, in an area where you've got these landfills that are fairly visible?
And drive-in.
How are you going to mitigate that?
Well, the average household income within this submarket, per the study that Callahan commissioned, is about $120,000. By comparison, the average household income in Louisville as a whole is about $70,000. So this is a higher price point submarket. And as you saw in the graphic we showed, there are significant number of residential neighborhoods within the area. And we believe that the demand for these homes will ensure, and the values we expect to see will ensure the success of the project. Cal Atlantic, this is what they do. And their studies of this market tells them that we will be successful here.
Well, I agree, your homes look lovely, and I agree that the communities you're in, you've got some challenges in some of those as well, but that still didn't really answer to me, when you go to sell these homes to people, what are you gonna say when they look up and see these landfills? Because that's one of the things that would puzzle me.
I can't personally speak to have built next to a landfill. We don't consider this next to a landfill. We understand when you've got an aerial and you see that it's within a mile, those kinds of things, they look close. But there is a very successful community in Arlington known as Veridian, and they sell, how many? 150 to 200 homes a year, and the landfill there is directly across the street from their main entry. So what people are choosing when they're making the decision to buy a home is location, quality of product, and quality of life. And the perimeter conditions, such as in the Veridian situation, are not detracting from that if you do the quality project in your land plan and in your home construction and in your master planning. So we look to that as a prime example of overcoming objections of landfills because they're extremely successful and it's happening right now. And it's much closer than this example.
Okay.
I have a question. Did y'all look at the traffic on 544?
I'm sorry?
Did y'all look at the traffic? Did y'all look at the traffic coming out on 544?
We have not done a traffic impact analysis at this point.
Okay.
So no, we have not looked at that.
All right.
That's,
Well, I was gonna ask, like, you brought up the West Haven community, right? The, and backing up for a second, I'm very familiar with the company. I've been in several of the properties throughout the area, so I don't have a problem with Cal Atlantic. The thing that I'm kind of wondering is, all right, so you brought up the West Haven community and you had some, zoning changes and things like that. Would you agree that the challenges that you have on this project are a little bit different than West Haven?
they're a little bit different, but not totally. The West Haven community was zoned as commercial highway. There's light industrial uses all around them on the frontage of 121, which 121 is our perimeter. And so it is buffered by Denton Creek, and so you don't have that situation on all sides, but we certainly face similar challenges. And again, the quality of the community and the quality of life that these master plans are allowing for, people are willing to overlook and overcome those objections on the direct perimeter because of what they're getting inside the master plan. We do this for a living. Obviously, we're the ones that are going out every day and wondering where we can go and provide for our customer next. That's something that we do. We analyze the data, we look at traffic, we look at our demographics. Louisville is extremely desirable. The 121 corridor is extremely desirable. The light industrial recommendation for this property exists, but in our mind, these master plans are put in place as wonderful tools, but are meant to be evaluated and they're meant to be reviewed because as things change, needs change. And one of the most critical needs in the entire Metroplex, but Louisville specifically, is for single family. And if we believe as the end user, we're not a developer coming in and saying we want to go sell lots. We're going to be talking and building and houses for and closing for the customers. We are the end user for this project until we sell the home. It doesn't concern us. We feel very confident that there is more desirable about this project than there is not desirable, or we wouldn't be here. We're not here to waste anybody's time. We want this project to move forward, and hopefully we've given you some reasons to consider that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, at this time, we'll open up a public hearing. Anyone that wishes to speak, please come forward, stop and see Teresa, sign in, and come up and state your name.
My name is Ray Myers. I, along with my brother, own the property. And I just wanted to say, we've had the property for about 55 years, and I have had a house there for about 35 years. And in that length of time, we've never had any trouble with odor. Or you can't even see the dump grounds from our house, and we live up on a hill. I realize it with the wrecking yard out there, with the Metro Auto Auction, some of those may not be real desirable, but we've had a house up there for 35 years, and we've never had any trouble with the traffic or the lights or the odor or anything. So I just wanted to make that clear.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Myers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Natalie Myers, and I'm the daughter-in-law of Mr. and Mrs. Myers. I previously owned a home in Castle Hills, which I can see the roof of from their property. So in a vicinity of where they're looking to build these homes, I can say I've never had a problem with the landfill, and I live basically across the street in Castle Hills. So I don't see that as ever being a problem. I could see the same view from my home in Castle Hills that I could see from these homes. Their home is up on a hill, and from standing up there, I've never even noticed it. There's never been an odor. There's never been any, problems with the view or anything that I didn't have in Castle Hills. And I think that's, from a homeowner's point of view, having lived in Castle Hills, I think that's a substantial answer to your question, being that this is right across the street. I mean, you just cross over 121. I had to access 544 to get to my home in Castle Hills when it was in the first phases. And I see that as being no different as coming on the other side of 121 and having to access 544 or the lights. So in my opinion, there is no difference from right across the street, just for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Myers.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. I'm Susan Myers, and I'm the wife of Ray Myers, who is one of the owners. What I'd like to express to you is that property has been very, very open to whatever the city of Louisville has asked of us. You have traffic, which is growing, which in my opinion, the city has not taken care of. You just opened a new fire station, and that fire station is used all the time. The road which you're speaking of is 544, and it has potholes on all the time. It is not kept up to the quality that the city of Louisville would want. These developers have studied the plans, and they are not about to put in this type of home into an area that the city itself does not support. Right now on 121, you have warehouse after warehouse after warehouse, which is empty most of the time or has turned over many, many times. They're an eyesore. This company is willing to build a product that the city of Louisville will be extremely proud of, just as you are proud of Castle Hills. Louisville has no home divisions in this area. This property is not for warehousing or light industrial. In the years that we have lived there, City of Louisville, the Zoning Commission, they have never brought us any type of warehousing type of people. And the ones that they have questioned, the warehouses can't be built on that type of property. It's too rolling. It's for single family, which would make that area beautiful. Your master plans, my opinion, they're outdated. And I say that because of what you see coming east on 121. It's not beautiful. We want it to be beautiful. These people are going to make it that way. 121 is a gold mine, but nothing's changed for 35 years since we've been there. And we would not have even discussed with this builder developer had we not given it much thought to allow Louisville to have a beautiful, beautiful residential area that y'all would be proud to put your names on. I ask all of you to give it great consideration. There's a lot of things to be done in that area, around that area, that I believe needs to be looked at. But I believe these men have already put time, money, effort. They know what is ahead of them. And being zoned LI, you will never, ever, maybe that's a little extreme, but it's not warehousing property. It's residential property. And they have shown you the plans that they have had to maximize their product. And I believe with all my heart, they will do that for the city of Louisville. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Okay, having no one else come forward, the public hearing is now closed. Commissioners, discussion, comments.
I think looking at the proposal, I think there's several things you've got to look at. Number one, I think, the biggest thing I think is that it doesn't meet the 2025 plan. Also, at a minimum, I would think you would need to comply with all the requirements that the planning department has brought up, not especially the minimum 8-foot fence, I think probably around the whole property. I don't see that a state townhome really fits in this area at all. I don't see how that would fit next to Coyote Drive-In or Metro Auto Auction or the landfill that's near here. I think that Coyote has bought this property next door to knowing that there would not be houses here, and I think that also is an important factor. Also, it appears that there probably will be high rises next to this development. So I think there are just too many, to me, numerous things that do not make a good fit for this property.
Anyone else?
Well, I agree with William. I think the traffic that they're referring to, what they're seeing now, I truly believe once the movie theater opens, they have no idea what they're about to see. I think we're involved with that. To speak to Mrs. Meyer's point, 544 is a state highway. And so if it's in disrepair, that's where you need to go for that particular one, and I hope you will, because we don't like good highways. But I wanted to point that out to you, that the city of Louisville cannot do anything about a state highway. I agree also about the 2025 plan. We just did the plan. I don't believe it's outdated. I don't know which one, if you're referring to Castle Hills plan or our plan, but either one I do not believe are outdated. We went through quite a bit of community involvement to do that. And one of the things that came to mind while you were speaking is that, yes, it does look like what it looks like now, but as things turn over and as attrition happens, that's where we will begin to apply the 2025 plan. And so if we continue not to apply it, it will never change. But our intent is to do that. And we have to start with going ahead with the 2025 plan as adopted by the City Council. So that's just my thoughts on it.
Anybody else?
The traffic is my concern. And 544 is a 2-lane. And I don't know, Richard, what's the plan on?
Yeah, FM 544 is currently about to start construction to be widened by TxDOT to a 6-lane divided arterial. Now, Midway Road, which is the northern boundary of this side, is a city street, and it will go under construction here in just the next few months by the city. It will be reconstructed into a 2-lane concrete curb and gutter collector street. And also the intersection at Holford's Prairie will be realigned, because right now that intersection is skewed, I believe, almost all 4 directions. That will be improved as part of that project. Another long-term project for this entire area will be the Corporate Drive extension, which will be about half a mile to the south. That will extend Carrollton Parkway, where it currently terminates west of 121, the Sam Rayburn Tollway. We'll continue it due west across the Trinity River. It'll make a bend by the Railroad Sports Complex and tie in to the current terminus of Corporate Drive at Railroad. That will open up vast areas in this immediate part of the city for business parks and light industrial developments. I do want to go on the record to disagree with Mr. Spica's letter. Our Economic Development Director has spoken to many of the entities listed on there, and many of them have agreed that that is a very prime industrial site. In fact, just a few months back, this site was a finalist for a major national manufacturing facility. And it was not selected, but just this week, we have provided information to 2 other prospects for manufacturing that is interested in that site. And like I said, we expect more in that area that will increase the truck traffic.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, this time, may I have a motion?
Chairman, may I speak, please?
Public hearing's closed,
Okay,
but
thank you very
yeah.
much.
I move to deny the request to change the zoning.
Motion by Mary Ellen,
Second.
seconded by Alvin. Those in favor signify aye.
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 Opposed? That was unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, this item will be considered at a second public hearing by the City Council on Monday, September the 19th at 7:00 p.m. for final action. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to item C. Public hearing, consideration of special use permit for heavy equipment, outdoor rental, sales, display, and service facility. Wait till the noise gets away. This is on approximately 3.591 acre tract of land located on the north side of Bennett Lane. It's approximately 350 feet east of Ridge View Drive at 553 Bennett Lane, further identified as Lot 1, Block A of the Johnson Addition, as requested by G&A Consultants on behalf of Bob, and I'm going to mess this up, Groovermont, Vista Ridge Concrete Plumbing, Plumbing LLC, the property owner. This is case number SUP 2016-0808.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This site for many years has been the site of a utility contractor's yard. Vista Ridge Concrete Pumping wishes to expand their operations to the site. They are currently, their current facility is located on Purnell Street, just outside of the Old Town area. The applicant is proposing several enhancements to the site. They will be paving the parking area on the site with concrete. They'll be removing most of the gravel that is on the site and replacing that with sod. They will be applying stucco to 2 of the facades of the building that are currently metal that have exposure from the street. Also, they'll be removing some of the existing chain link fencing that's at the front and replacing that with wood privacy fencing from the eastern corner of the building over to the eastern property line, and then providing additional wood fencing on the western side of the building where the main gate entrance to the site will be located. There's existing photinia shrubs along Purnell Street. I believe there is an existing driveway where there's an opening, and that driveway will be removed as part of this proposal, and that gap will be provided with new photinias so that that gap fills in to provide a visual screen. There is a existing chain link fence that the applicant is requesting to remain. It is behind those photinias, so it's essentially screened from view from the street. With these improvements to the building, to the landscaping, to the screening, staff has no objection. The screening will trigger a variance that'll have to be considered by the City Council, and that's to allow the alternative screening device along Purnell in the form of the photinias and the existing chain link fence in lieu of a masonry screening wall. And again, staff has no objection to that request. The existing photinias are quite thick. Do have additional slides to show you. These are just the drawings. I believe this is the landscape plan. Additional trees will be planted along Purnell Street. And this is the illustration of their proposed screening and fencing. And then these are some photos of the site showing the existing photinias and an illustration of some of the fencing and again, the photinia screening that is existing, that'll be added. And then this is the front southeastern corner of the site where there is existing trees that'll be preserved, and then that perimeter chain link fence will be removed. So aesthetically, the site will be greatly improved. Therefore, staff recommends approval as submitted. With that, I will turn it over to the applicant's engineer to provide further details. Thank you.
This is outside of the Old Town?
Yes, this is on Bennett Lane. Their current site is within the Old Town District. Like I said, it's on the north side of Purnell, closer to the railroad tracks.
Right.
Did you want to run them over there? I'm sure they'll be back.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Randy Rivera. I'm actually a land planner with G&A Consultants. I try to be an engineer, but they tell me not to. But we have our engineer here, and we also have Bob Guvermont, our the client. So really I'm just really going to supplement Richard. He did a good job kind of explaining the main points about it all. This is when Bob bought the property, and like he's moving it from Purnell to here, and so it is a change of use. And so in order to, comply with the requirements in the zoning ordinance, his use would require an SUP. And so in order to meet that requirement, he's come in with this SUP application, and then we'll follow this up with an engineering site plan to remove the gravel and add some concrete and to add the landscaping and the screening. And then he'll follow up with a building permit application to change the facades on the two most visible sides of the building. But I'll go through real quick. We're surrounded by LI zoning, and to the north is floodplain. I guess I can't do that. Then some more pictures. Richard did a good job showing you kind of these, and the picture on the bottom left is a street view of the frontage along Bennett and how dense those photinias really are. And then behind that is an 8-foot chain link fence. And you wouldn't know it because they've done such a great job keeping them up. And Mr. Guvermont is willing to keep monitoring those and keep them there, and even put more in where there's the gap in the top left picture. There's that driveway there. That's what Richard was talking about. We would remove and extend the photinias across that opening there. So it really does a very effective job of screening the property, and that the trucks, the large, the big green trucks, y'all probably see those around town. I know I do, and they'll be in the back of the property, so they won't be visible because they won't be right up on the fence line. They'll be located in the rear where he's put in the concrete area. And I have a slide to kind of show you that. So this is a picture of looking from Bennett to the northwest and looking at that red area in the plan view there that shows he's putting a board-on-board fence there, an 8-foot board-on-board. And so we're standing at the star looking to the northeast. And so that is where the gate would be, to where when you come in, you'd go through this gate to be able to store your vehicles in the back. But that's kind of your view. And what the purpose of this is to show you that it's even the board-on-board in this location, even as you enter the driveway, it still does an effective job of screening. And so it really does clean up the site. In the neighborhood that it's in and everything. So I think it's a good change of use, and the improvements that we're making, we hope that you guys can support And we're here if there's any other questions about the facility or anything. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, at this time, we'll open up the public hearing. Anyone that wishes to speak, please come forward, sign in, and state your name. All right, having no one come forward, the public hearing is now closed. Commissioners, comments, concerns, questions? Then may I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve item C as it was presented.
Motion by Alvin. Seconded by William. Those in favor signify aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Last item is adjournment. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, before, on this item, it will be considered by the city council at a final public hearing on Monday, September the 19th, 2016, at 7:00 p.m. for final action. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now may I have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn?
Mary Ellen,
Second.
seconded by Alvin. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.